I'm giving Ben Simmons Steph's shooting, but it's not going to be free. Ben would be drafted number 2 overall back to the Philadelphia 76ers, but there is one main reason he was drafted behind Shaq in number 1. His shooting is terrible, with a 25 mid-range and 3, and because of it, he would be coming off the bench behind Hershey Hawkins. But Ben would still have a near triple-double average, winning Rookie of the Year. But oh my god, is his three-point shooting terrible. And the 76ers would finish with a terrible 26-56 record, but lucky for Ben, he gets an upgrade after every season. Currently the worst shooter in the NBA, but Simmons is going to get at least a faster jumper, and he also gets an additional 25 to his driving layup. Ben would spend the offseason speeding up his jumper, and now his layup is a 99, but his shooting is still the worst in NBA history. I mean, even Shaq has a 26-3. Simmons would finally be in the starting lineup, but the 76ers still aren't winning many games, so Ben still needs some help. Simmons is going to be getting a 53-pointer, so it's no longer a 30, and he's also going to be getting a +5, so now he has a 55-3. But that wouldn't be the only help this offseason, as Philly gets the 1st and 2nd overall pick in this year's draft. And they get Brandon Miller. But their 2nd overall selection would be even better. 2nd overall pick as well, Victor Wembanyama. Which means Philly's starting lineup now has 3 of the best young stars in the NBA, each averaging over 20 points per game, but Ben still is struggling to shoot. Despite his lack of scoring from outside 5 feet, Philly improves to nearly 60 wins. Ben and the 76ers would be on their way to Milwaukee in the 1st round, but Ben would struggle stopping Penny Hardaway, who led the Bucks to 2 straight wins at home. Finally heading back home to Philadelphia, Victor Wembanyama would take charge in Game 3, but the 76ers were still down. Would nearly be sent home in Game 4 with a tie game, and only 7 seconds left for Philly. They have to do something. Ron Harper's giving it down to Ben Simmons. He's taking a post fade, and he hits it. Oh my god, Simmons! Ben and the Sixers would ride the momentum back home in Game 5, and again, it would be Ben sinking shots down the line to secure the win and move them on to the 2nd round. The only problem? They have to play the reigning champion Charlotte Hornets and Defensive Player of the Year David Robinson. They would evenly trade the first 4 games, but David Robinson would take over in Game 5 and 6, and Scott Skiles would officially send Philly home at the line. But there still is hype around Philly's future, only losing to the now back-to-back champs. But Simmons still is the worst shooter in the league that attempts more than 1 a game, so he still needs some help. Simmons is getting this season a +10 to his 3 up to a 65 and max athleticism. Ben's 3 is now a 65 and is like Flash on the court. Mitch Richmond joins the team as a 6th man for the Sixers, and they dominate the league, going 70-12. Victor is now dropping 27-12 at night, and the 1st round would be a quick 3-game sweep versus New Jersey, but David Robinson and Charlotte would be in their way yet again. The first 4 games would go down the same way, trading back and forth, and Wemby and David Robinson would take turns looking like the best player in the world. But this time, the trio would take over the next 2, though it was extremely close in Game 6. Atlanta would be next up in the conference finals, but with no star to lead them, Philly would take every game by over 20. But there still is one issue with the team. Simmons for 3! Absolutely not. But even without that, the Sixers would go on to take a 3-0 lead on the Supersonics in the finals. Philly would be up 14 towards the end of the game, but again, oh, Simmons off triple 3, still can't hit it, but Wemby's a demon. Still, they bring home a championship to Philly, and Simmons wins the finals MVP, finally silencing all the doubters who said he couldn't win without shooting, except one. The Philadelphia front office, who didn't want to pay Simmons and wanted to focus on Wemby instead and ship Simmons to the San Antonio Spurs, who were the worst team in the NBA last season. But it wouldn't be all bad for Simmons. Simmons in the offseason is getting +15 to his 3 and Hall of Fame brick wall. That's not going to help at all. Ben with his offseason work now has a respectable 83, but a terrible 25 mid-range still, which helped him lead the Spurs to a 37-45 record, but still managed an 8 seed, and his 3-point percentage is up to 37%, along with now having a new shooting form that another all-time great would eventually take some heavy inspiration from. But Philly might have been right. Victor Wembanyama wins MVP, and the averages are insane. But the Spurs would actually go up 2-1 in the first round, and in elimination game 4. If the Spurs get one here, it silences the crowd. Simmons is down in the post, he takes the hook shot, and he gets it. That should secure the dub. They're into the second round and send the Clippers home, but they would have to face the Peyton and Ket-led Supersonics, and to nobody's surprise. And, well, it was fun while it lasted, but yeah, they're out. But back in Philadelphia, Wemby will be raising another trophy, and Ben could do nothing but watch. Ben would work again in the offseason to his previous three-point shooting, and with now a 90 rating, he is elite. And with Marbury coming out as a new young star, the Spurs still finished below 500 and missed the playoffs, while Victor would be at the free throw line, securing a three-peat for the 76ers. Who is going to stop these guys? But not all hope is lost for Ben. He now not only has a 99 perimeter defense, but a 99 3 as well. But the second he steps in for a midi, it's a complete break. Simmons would have yet another average season because Marbury thinks he's the team's superstar now. But still, the Spurs finished first in the West, crushing Kobe and the Lakers in the first round at 4. The Timberwolves would be their second round matchup, and they were looking pretty evenly matched, splitting every other game. But going into game 6, Minnesota has a 3-2 lead, and the Spurs would nearly choke it. Genie down to Kaman. The layup is good. Minnesota's coming back. John Elliott's coming down the other way. Minnesota have to go fast. A super contested 3 that's not going to hit. Edey's got it, and it looks like the Spurs survive even with no Simmons on the court, but that is dangerous. But Minnesota would bounce back. Well, Wilson is at least going to be at the line, missing the free throw, and that's why you are down 40 points. And while Ben would be improving in the gym, the 76ers would be winning a 4th straight NBA championship, and Wemby would three-peat as MVP. But this offseason would be different for Ben. He would head into his 8th season with a 90 mid-range, a much faster jumper, and some new badges, and tells the Spurs organization that this is his last season with the team if they don't make the finals, which they wouldn't be doing, losing again to the Timberwolves, but this time in the first round. Oh my god, they lose to the Timberwolves again! It's their kryptonite. Simmons, fed up with San Antonio, joins forces with another NBA superstar in Boston, LeBron James, meaning they now have a 98 and 99 on the team. But the rest, well, it could be better. LeBron and Ben may be a force, but they aren't the only stacked team. Wemby and Brandon Miller are still together in Philly. AI, Tim Duncan, and Steph are now in Toronto. Melo, Dirk, Baron Davis, and Chauncey Billups are making noise in Dallas. And T-Mac and Nash have been falling just short of the best team in the East to Philly for the last few years. Still, the Celtics nearly knocked 70 wins, but Simmons came here for championships, beating Indiana 3-1, Orlando and Shaq 4-2, but waiting for them is Ben's old team and teammates, Brandon Miller, Victor Wembanyama, and the 76ers. Ben would find himself down 3-1 going into Game 5, but stopping Wemby is a tall task. Oh, they're running everything through Wembanyama again. He's taking a hook shot from the free throw line and sinking it. Philly's got 5 seconds. They're giving it down to the best person in the game, Wembanyama, who's throwing an oop. We're going to double overtime. Ben is wide open. They're giving it to Ben Simmons. He's shooting the 3. He's missing it. Wemby's getting the board. Philly's moving on. Ben just can't get himself a break. Wemby now has 6 straight on the 76ers, including 5 without Ben, forcing Ben and LeBron to work harder than ever, both hitting 99 overalls and averaging near triple doubles, shattering their previous best seasons. But going into the Eastern Conference Finals would stump them again. They were the greatest team of all time. They were 75-7. They hadn't lost a game before this, and they choke. But the biggest upset would be Miami beating Philly in the first round because Wemby is now all alone in Philly after Brandon Miller signs with the Houston Rockets. It's now been 6 years since Simmons was a champion, and Ben and LeBron each only have 1 year left in Boston, so time is running out to make moves. All offseason while LeBron and Ben worked, all anybody talked about was how Ben couldn't win without Wemby, but LeBron would help his teammate out. LeBron is MVP. I didn't expect that to happen. But Ben would also help with a near triple-double himself. Again, nearly winning 70 games and cruising to the Eastern Conference Finals, where New York wouldn't even put up a fight, falling 4-0, where Simmons would be sending a message. Ben Simmons with the block on Steve Nash. But nothing would matter if they don't win the chip. Their opponent, the Portland Trail Blazers. led by Antoine Jamison, Zydrunas Ilgauskas, and Keith Van Horn. Game 1, the Celtics would dismantle the Trailblazers by 30, and LeBron was one board short of a 30-point triple-double. Game 2 would be another double-digit win, but this time, Simmons couldn't be stopped. Portland would fight hard at home in Game 3, but 49-10 for LeBron would push the series lead to 3. Ben is now one win away from finally winning a championship. The last time he was there, he was dished out for Wemby. Then years of disappointment in San Antonio and back-to-back years as the favorite in Boston that failed, but finally, he's one win away from redemption. And in Game 4, with the world watching, Ben Simmons pull up for mid-range for the championship, and he sinks it! And it couldn't mean more to him, finally shutting up everyone who doubted him once and for all. Ben Simmons getting drafted to Philadelphia is probably the biggest curse an NBA player has ever had, but at least he finally fixed his biggest what if, becoming one of the greatest shooters of all time. Another all-time terrible shooter was Shaquille O'Neal, who only made 1 3 in his entire career, never even developing a free throw because frankly, he didn't need to. But what if he did? Check out what happens if Shaq got Steph Curry shooting here.